Easy.
You need this?
No, Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Kupijana Vallabha Jaya Giridhari Jaya Giridhari Kupijana Vallabha Jaya Giridhari Jaya Giridhari Yashodanandana Jaya Vratadana Ranjana Jaya Vrachadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Jajana Ranjana Jaya Vrachadana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Manachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Yamuna Tira Manachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Yamuna Tira Manachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Yamuna Tira Manachari Jaya Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Rama Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Om Vishnu Para Paramahamsa Parivrakachaja Astottara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नमस्कार दास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से को श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गिरिधार श्रीवत्स आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय गौर प्रेमानंद हरे all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate. So today we read from Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, Chapter 3, Text 42. I'll just read this. Satu samshravayamasha Maharajam Parikshitam Prayopavishtam Gangayam Paritam Paramarshibi. Saha, the son of Vyasadeva, to again samshravayamasha, make them audible, Maharajam, unto the emperor, Parikshitam, of the name Parikshit, Praya Upavishtam, who sat until death without food or drink, Gangayam, on the bank of the Ganges, Paritam, being surrounded, Paramarishibihi, by great sages. Translation. Shukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, in his turn delivered the Bhagavatam to the great emperor Parikshit, who sat surrounded by sages on the bank of the Ganges, awaiting death without taking food or drink. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. All transcendental messages are received properly in the chain of disciplic succession. This disciplic succession is called parampara. Unless, therefore, Bhagavatam or any other Vedic literatures are received through the parampara system, the reception of knowledge is not bona fide. Vyasadeva delivered the message to Shukadeva Goswami, and from Shukadeva Goswami, Suta Goswami received the message. One should therefore receive the message of Bhagavatam from Suta Goswami or his representative, and not from any irrelevant interpreter. Emperor Parikshit received the information of his death in time, and he at once left his kingdom and family and sat down on the bank of the Ganges to fast till death. All great sages, rishis, philosophers, mystics, etc. went there due to his imperial position. They offered many suggestions about his immediate duty, and at last it was settled that he would hear from Shukadeva Goswami about Lord Krishna. Thus the Bhagavatam was spoken to him. Srila Shankaracharya, who preached Mayavada philosophy and stressed the impersonal feature of the Absolute, also recommended that one must take shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna, for there is no hope of gain from debating. Indirectly, Srila Shankaracharya admitted that what he had preached in the flowery grammatical interpretations of the Vedanta Sutra cannot help one at the time of death. At the critical hour of death, one must recite the name of Govinda. This is the recommendation of all great transcendentalists. Shukadeva Goswami had long ago stated the same truth, that at the end one must remember Narayan. That is the essence of all spiritual activities. In pursuance of his eternal truths, Srimad Bhagavatam was heard by Emperor Parikshit, and it was recited by the able Shukadeva Goswami. And both the speaker and the receiver of the message Bhagavatam were duly delivered by the same medium. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavari Pashkadya Desatarana. Shukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, in his turn delivered the Bhagavatam to the great Emperor Parikshit, who sat surrounded by sages on the bank of the Ganges, awaiting death without taking food or drink. So Srila Prabhupada once commented that actually Maharaj Parikshit was specially blessed. Why? Not just by the association he got, but by the fact that he knew when he will die. That's a good information, because we don't know. We have not that information, and we don't know when we are going to die. But Maharaj Parikshit knew. And the awareness of the presence of death, which is scary for most of the people, and they deny it even. They try to ignore it, whole life. Whole life they try to ignore that actually this will end. Everything will end in this world. It's temporary. So this is one of the most essential requirements to become serious in Krishna consciousness. Now, many people come actually to Krishna consciousness because they sense that. I know even devotees who invited death before they joined. They wanted to die, practically contemplating suicide. There are quite few people coming to Krishna consciousness like that, because they were so desperate, so frustrated. Why are you committing suicide? Simply out of frustration, that's all. But it doesn't solve the problem at all, because just to be frustrated, Prabhupada said that you cannot become serious in Krishna consciousness without being disillusioned in a material sense. It's proportional. The more hope we still have that in this material world we will achieve enjoyment of some kind, and to that degree we cannot be inspired in Krishna consciousness. It's not compatible. Actually, it's so incompatible that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, what is day for the materialist, that's the night for the devotee. It's completely incompatible. Therefore, when materialists rejoice, devotees usually take distance. Because it's, I could give millions of examples of this, what the enjoyment of the karmis is. For a devotee, it's ridiculous. You end up really asking yourself and the others, is this enjoyment? Are you enjoying this? What do they enjoy? Intoxication. Well, intoxication is based basically on poison. All the drugs actually are different poisonous substances. There's no healthy drugs, really. Now, there are herbs, that's another thing. They call them sometimes also drugs. Medicine is called also drugs. I just remember one of my godbrothers in the early stage that Prabhupada, I was so sinful. I was maintaining myself by selling drugs before I joined. And Prabhupada smiled and he said, me too. I was a pharmacy man. So I also sold drugs. Devotee was like, oh no, Prabhupada is so pure, he really doesn't understand. Prabhupada was so pure, he said publicly in a lecture in front of all the hippies, he said, my disciples are so pure, they don't even smoke LSD. And all the hippies were going, oh no, this man is so out of it. He doesn't even understand that LSD is not to be smoked, you just take it, So Prabhupada was so pure, But actually medicine is called also drugs sometimes. And it's a fact that to every medicine, and Prabhupada used it as an example. He used many examples from his pharmacy, from his medical line where he was working before, finally end up on his preaching tour. So he used the example that for every medicine there is a prescription. And it's very important to read the prescription, especially in India. Because in India, in a pharmacy, they will sell you anything. You just go and you say, I want some heroin. Yeah, they will tell you anything. So it's good to know the prescription, Why? Because if you don't read it, then one devotee told me he bought drops for eyes in India. His eyes were aching. And then there was a prescription, luckily to it. Because 3 drops a day, it's very nice. 20 drops a day, you get blind. So it's good to read what you are taking. The doses is important. And Prabhupada used it as an example even for Krishna consciousness. Now somebody can say, how can I overdose myself with Krishna consciousness? That's not possible. It is possible. That we take Krishna consciousness in an inappropriate way, without any spiritual guidance, and this is pointed out here, without the blessing of Guru Parampara. And how do you know you have the blessing of the Guru Parampara? Well, from the last representative of the Guru Parampara, who should be reachable and tangible to us. And we should be also very cautious not to jump over the last Acharya to the next Acharya. Now I could give some quotes from Prabhupada which are quite controversial today. Because Prabhupada forbade us to read any other books as his books. He said, and devotees were going, but what about Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj books? Prabhupada said, these books are for me, not for you. My books are for you. But then he said, those who are editing and who are engaged in that line, very few, they may get a license to take references from the other books. But only those who are engaged in that line. Otherwise, he said, for you, it's my books. For me, it's the books of my Guru. And it's something more detailed even. He says, especially don't read the books which were published after the departure of my Guru, which is relatively early. Why? Because he said the editing work on these books cannot be trusted because it was not done anymore by the author himself. Because Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was insisting to edit his own books, his own writings. He didn't delegate it to anybody. So Prabhupada was very specific about that. Then in one letter he writes, not only that, why is our brahmacharis reading so many different books? And then his real point was, where do they get the money to buy them? Brahmachari means no money. So where is they getting the money to buy these books? And I remember first time walking in Loy Bazaar in Vrindavan, well, there was no books. You know why? Because most of the Indians we met were illiterate. They couldn't even read. So what's the use to have a bookshop in Vrindavan when nobody can read? Everything started with the Westerners coming in. Nowadays you can find in Vrindavan big bookshops and you can buy anything. Upasamhita and this samhita and that samhita and all this. And of course devotees are eager and there are hints in Prabhupada books. These books are mentioned, but that doesn't mean you get the book with the name on it, it's the real thing. You don't know who edited the whole thing. You don't know who translated the whole thing. Sanskrit is a language which can be interpreted in so many ways. It's an amazing language where one word can have so many meanings. So Prabhupada said only pure devotee can do this. Because he is linked up with the Guru Parampara and he is getting the intelligence and the knowledge from the Guru Parampara to be able to comment on this. Prabhupada was very, very peculiar about that. He was afraid of two things. He said, when I go, you will speculate on the books and you will change the standards of deity worship. That was his great concern. Prabhupada was very specific about these things and very detailed. Prabhupada said, you change one word, you change the whole meaning. Now I don't want to go more into this. I know it's a hot issue. It's discussed. The editorial work on Prabhupada's books, Now, I don't take part in this. Because, first of all, I'm not expert. And second of all, I was too many years on the street distributing these books. Now, when you take the optic and the vision from the Kami point of view, what do they know about editorial problems? The guy with the sausage in the hand, Are these books rightly edited? What does it mean to him? He's going to hell. And these books, sorry, there is still stated here, Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are not this body, we are eternal servants of Krishna. It's still there. Nobody took that one out. So, they are pretty good for the karmis. Pretty good. Sufficiently edited. I can confirm that because people join from these books. They join from these books and that books. They join. What does it mean to them? You still have a head full of hashish and you want to discuss editorial issues? Come on. We have quite different problems, So, but there is devotees, of course, the more study, they find discrepancies, and there are discrepancies, definitely. I don't want to go no more into it, but it's evident, right? I can give you a few examples even. It's evident. Even in the first edition of Bhagavad Gita, which was edited by a devotee who was still, in the middle of the edition, he left. And he was just, again, on the hashish. Then he got enough of this, he came back and finished it. So there are some things, which are funny. Prabhupada knew that. But he blessed that book because he was pressing. Book. The books is to go out. And devotees said, but Prabhupada, we are not qualified. They even devotees. Actually, considering how unqualified the editors and were at that time, the editorial work is quite amazing, actually. It's quite amazing. Now, I am really not expert on this, but there are obviously funny things. They couldn't understand. Planet of trees, it's one of these in the Bhagavad Gita. Planet of trees. When I read it first time, I was going, whoa, whole planet, just trees. Nah, it's planet of pea trees. Pea trees means the forefathers. That's where the previous generation, the forefathers can live. Pea trees, that's quite a difference. Trees and trees, it's quite a difference. But again, what does it mean for the man with the sausage on a corner standing there? Pea trees, anyway. What is it? Please read Bhagavad Gita, we are not this body, and stop this, get rid of the sausage. It's as simple as that. Oh, it brings a memory to me on a Sankirtan, once. I was standing in front of the shopping center and a lady comes out and there was a man selling the sausages, in the bread, and she bought a sausage and she was completely busy. She had her shopping bags. Normally I wouldn't go to somebody like this, but there was nobody else. I just turned around quickly, like a reflex, and I gave her the book and she was going, okay. But she had a handful, sausage in one hand, shopping bag in the other. So she said, can you hold this for me? And she puts the sausage in my hand. And looking for the money. She was actually quite nice. She wanted to buy the book. Fortunately, there was a big garbage bag right away next to me. So, she gave me a sausage, I was going, and I threw it straight into the garbage bag. And she was looking for the money and she paid for the book and went away. She forgot the sausage. She completely forgot there was some sausage in between. It was just a little Sankirtan story in between. So on one side, we shouldn't get hooked up on this. We should always be in a preaching mood. And when you're in a preaching mood, you realize life is not too subtle out there. I distribute books to people who were naked, completely naked. There was nobody else. There was just naked people. So we were going, okay. The only problem is they have no money, they're naked. So they were always looking, there was a dress, but it was a nudistic beach. Anyway, I'm not going to go into this now in Bhagavatam, but we were so determined. We wanted to distribute the last books. We had a quota. I was going, okay, today I will distribute 50 books, okay? Later on it was 100, but 50, that was my quota. So I'm not going to go down before I do these 50 books. And there was nobody there. But we passed by, this was South Germany, on a beach. There was a nudistic beach. And the other devotee next to me, he was worse. He said, hey, there are still people here. And I told him, they are naked. And he said, now it's, and we always had the quote, the jivas are everywhere. So they are here too. They live souls, they're souls, So we went out and was going, okay, hello, and start to distribute. Actually, I tell you, when everybody is naked in such a circumstance, it doesn't agitate you at all. It's like a bunch of monkeys, Monkeys are also naked, so what? Really, it's not very agitating. They are and they are ridiculous with these shapes of bodies, and it's ridiculous. And actually, when we went out and distributed, some people got they sense that this is some monks or something like this. So they got so embarrassed, they were starting to dress again. It's really powerful. And we were all like, you can give a donation. And we were going, yeah, but then they looked, where's my money? And actually, just to get rid of us, they bought a book. Don't disturb here. You are not naked. You are not fitting into the club, that. So actually, we distributed quite a number of books like this. We didn't care. This is the world out there. I used to distribute books to people which were in such locations and situations you cannot imagine. You cannot imagine. To drunk people, prostitutes, anybody. I don't want to too much go in detail, but Sankirtan is so amazing. It brings you in this kind of situations. And the other brahmacharis, they start to like prostitutes, that? Because they were very good customers. Because these women, they were very fascinated by meeting a man who is not interested in sex. This was for them so intriguing. And believe me or not, when you tell them this material world is based on lust, they go, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know that. They are really realized, So we had quite a nice time with them. This is a book which explains a world without lust. They were going, that exists? Such a world exists? A world without lust. Incredible. I said, yeah, you can just read about it, get it. And they pulled the money out from various places, gave a donation. So, we didn't care a damn. When we were on marathon time, we really want to give the books out. We couldn't care who is there. We were distributing in the middle of the night. We completely skipped the whole schedule. I could give you a picture of the last, one of the most dominant marathons I was participating. That was a marathon when Prabhupada was arriving, 1974 in Germany. That's the year I got initiated. And our leaders got a typical German idea. In one day, we will go out and collect enough money to buy Prabhupada a Mercedes car. That was like the quota. This typical German idea. Mercedes car for Prabhupada. I remember that marathon. I was already 2 years on Sankirtan. I knew where to go. There's a town in Germany which is like a normal town, and then you go through a big crossing to an old town. Just connected. Old town is just a collection of bars, little streets and some bars. That's basically it. And that's where the life starts in the evening. In the old town, in new town, people go shopping, but then on a certain point, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, the shopping houses are closing, the streets get empty. Then we went across the crossing to the old town. And then the real show started. We started to distribute 7:30 in the morning. We stopped distributing 4 o'clock in the morning the next day. It was one of the most ecstatic days I remember. Because we knew in few days Prabhupada is coming. Devotees were so excited and in such an expectation. Around midnight we were all completely out of control. I forgot even what I'm saying to people. Hello, this is nice books for nice people. No. Not only me, but also devotees, vocabulary jumping on people. First of all, everybody was drunk, more or less. It's bars, nightlife, Well, just jumping on people, going, "He's coming! He's coming!" And people were like, "Oh, really? Really?" And they gave donation. It went completely out of control, the whole thing. Nobody knew who is coming, but everybody started to give donations. You know, I saw devotees grabbing people, dancing with them, like in a kirtan. Of course, drunk people don't mind really so much, you know. They're like, "He's coming!" Okay, whoa. You know. This was incredible. I just watched all this. I was thinking, we are completely out of control. I had a Bibisana, he was a bit older, you know, god brother. And he was a professional in this lifestyle before he joined. So he just started to go into the bars, inside. He was sitting in a bar on his high chair, you know. "Hello boys, how are it?" And he looked very bona fide because he knew the atmosphere very well. So he was just, you know, going, "1 glass of water, please." You know. And then he was sitting with, you know, this guy sitting there, you know, drinking, you know. And he was passing the Bhagavad Gita's out like you serve out cards on a cardboard. He was going, he said, "Read that, amazing book." And he was so convincing. He was going, everybody sit there with the whiskey and Bhagavad Gita, you know. And then and he went out. I mean, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that because I never grew up in such an environment. For me, it was just the smell coming out of these places was too much. Yeah, but I entered with some strange side street with some strange ladies standing around, going, "Hello, hello," and they were going, "Hello, what do you want?" I said, "We are monks. No lust." And they're going, "This is interesting." And then, you know, it was prostitutes. And they were pulling money from here and there and everywhere, you know. We didn't care. I remember just after 4:30, things got really empty. The bars are closing, you know, it was finished. And we met spontaneously in the middle of this old town, completely in ecstasy. And we were going, you know, "Prabhupada is coming, Jai!" And we jumped into the Sankirtan van, the whole night gone. And we drove quite a distance, 2 hours, 2.5 hours back to the temple, coming actually around the Guru Puja time, you know. We must have looked like savages, you know. Everybody just, you know, with the bag still, with the Sankirtan bag around. We just jumped into the Guru Puja going, "Prabhupada!" You know. And the temple was going, "Oh, now comes the savages, you know. Now comes the wild party." It was one of the best marathons I ever took part, but we didn't collect the Mercedes car completely, no. You know? Otherwise, everybody went out. The whole yatra went out. But we didn't manage. It was finally the rented big Mercedes car, which arrived at the Frankfurt airport, you know, waiting outside. Forbidden parking, nobody cared. We really didn't care for the airport because Prabhupada is coming. We parked, we had by that time 10 white Volkswagen buses. It was quite big Sankirtan, you know. We had 12 of these Sankirtan vans with the big Hare Krišna signs on it. It's a German management. So every van had a flag, you know, yeah, prepared. And we parked, those days Frankfurt airport was much smaller as today, you know, so we parked in a parking house, you know, the different floors, and then there's a spiral going out like this, you drive up like this. And we parked the cars. Unfortunately, I was the driver. So Prabhupada already came out of the airplane. They prepared a VIP lounge, a special room on airport, right away there, with the Vyasasana, everything. There was an artik performed to him, and Prabhupada gave a short lecture right away at the airport. And but I missed this because I had to park the car. Devotees jumped out of the car and ran in the airport. I had to park the car along with the other drivers. So I just came and Prabhupada finished the lecture and he started to come out from that room. So it was the first time I saw Prabhupada. And I tell you, very happy moment. I never before in my life experienced such a... Everything was completely okay. I felt so liberated. No more fear, no more Frankfurt airport, no more Germany. Prabhupada was here. It was like... I felt so safe. And devotees were so ecstatic. And Prabhupada walked from that room to the exit of the airport. It was quite a way to go through this, this corridor with the different gates to the airplanes. But nobody followed him. Everybody wanted to see him chanting like heavy kirtan. So they were all going parallel to Prabhupada, blocking completely the whole, the whole big corridor. And there was this people trying to get to the airplanes, and there was this like tsunami, the devotees coming. And devotees didn't really care. They just... Remember the local guards showed up with a walkie-talkie, alarm, alarm, Germans, help, alarm. They were also smacking them on a wall. Everybody it was really like a tsunami walking through the airport. Before they got organized, we put it out. Say this, which devotees on the side of the door, just like this. And there was one, my godbrother, Achetya, he was the driver. And Prabhupada, amazingly, he didn't got in the back of the car as usually he got in front. And he was sitting in this yoga style. And Achetya realized very soon while driving on a highway, he cannot put in the fourth gear because there was Prabhupada's leg. So he was like, Prabhupada! And he put the fourth gear, slightly touching Prabhupada's leg. And Prabhupada with a bit, he just looked at him, be careful. So he was like, Now, how do you get 10 or 11 Sankirtan vans line up behind the car? That was the idea. There was no mobile phones. There was nothing. We had no connection. We just knew where they go because we had to go like 40 kilometers to the temple, which was a rented castle. So the drivers, we were running to the cars. It was like a rally, like Monte Carlo rally. Just running to the cars. Everybody jumped in a car. And then you had to drive down again, the spiral. And down there was not like today. It was not automatic. There was a man sitting in a box. And you paid. And then he opened the gate. But the man hearing the sound of the squeaking tires going down the spiral, 10 cars. And you can do that. These spirals are practical. You can lock the wheel in. You can go quite fast. It's the same angle, but squeaking tires. We were expert drivers. We were living in these cars, so we know what we are doing. So we were like 11 cars racing down that spiral. Well, the guy in a box down there, he concluded something horrible must have happened. There's some alarm. So he just opened the gate without paying nothing, and we were all dashing out of that parking lot, looking on a highway. Where is the white Mercedes? Where is the white Mercedes? And then we saw, because Achetya was advised to drive especially slowly, so we can catch up with him. So, and then every car had a flag. The flags came up, from the window. It was a warm day. And, we put the flags out, and 11 cars line up behind Prabhupada. He must have seen it in a back mirror. I asked Achetya, what did Prabhupada do? He said, he liked that. We were like an army behind Prabhupada. We drove to the temple. We knew exactly where the exit is and all this. It was just amazing. And we were horning and blinking, all this. We didn't care for the rest of the traffic whatsoever. So then we came to the exit. We went out of the highway. And then we had to go through 2-3 small villages before we arrived at the castle. But I don't know how devotees did that. They must have done walkie-talkie or I don't know what. They parked a big van which was serving for festivals with amplification on the roof. They parked it at the exit, and when I heard Prabhupada is coming, that van drove ahead, like 4 or 5 minutes ahead with full blast broadcasting Prabhupada bhajan like this. So the result was, when the van drove ahead through the small villages, all the people were coming to the windows. What's going on here? You know, the big Hare Krišna, you know, big amplification. The people were on the windows, and when Prabhupada arrived with the white Mercedes with the 10 vans behind, everybody was in the windows already. And the atmosphere was amazing. They were all waving, you know. And Prabhupada was with the he was amazing. He was chanting, and he was with the beat bag. He was like blessing the nation, you know. Yes. And then, you know, we drove through the villages. Then we came up to the castle. And then they escorted Prabhupada to his room. It was all in emergency. We just rented the castle 2-3 months before. So nothing was renovated. There was no time for renovating anything. So we just painted over everything. Everything was like painted. I painted Prabhupada's bathroom because there was no time to put the tiles on. So I painted it with some kind of oil color, which actually wasn't even dry yet. I was going, oh no, how can Prabhupada take a shower here? The color is still sticky, you know. So, and then Prabhupada entered his room, and they brought a huge plate of prasadam. It was this big, you know, because we had fantastic cooks. So they brought a huge plate of prasadam, and Prabhupada looked at it, and there was a little cup with honey. And Prabhupada dipped his finger and was going, very good. And that was it. Then they carried the plate out again. You know? And I was not really in that room too long because I had so many things. I had my Sankirtan party and my van, and everything was chaos, total chaos. Actually, everything went out of control. Prabhupada in the temple, everything went out of control. Everybody was just, where's Prabhupada? Where's Prabhupada? And Prabhupada came down to the lecture, you know. After every lecture, he said, chant Hare Krišna, take prasadam and put my books. Thank you very much. We took it like a mantra, you know, we were repeating it always. Chant Hare Krišna, take prasadam, distribute. And then Prabhupada taking prasadam, this was hilarious. There were devotees even from Switzerland, or not Switzerland yet at that time. There was some other devotees joining in from England. So we were like 120 devotees in a temple. You know, it was big enough, but 120 devotees wanted to take Maha from Prabhupada, all at once. And there was not this kind of serving, no. We were all hanging in front of Prabhupada's door when he was taking prasadam. And everybody was ready. And when the servant came out, they just jumped on him. And he was, Prabhu's, hey, Maha. And became so violent that the servants were afraid to go out with it Maha, because there was 100 guys sitting there waiting. So they just put the plate down and ran away. Of course, what happened was a ferocious battle. I mean, we were mad. When I remember, it was crazy. It was like rugby, you know rugby? Just bang, 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 and everybody just bang, bang, bang. We were so mad, devotees were really fighting with each other. And even you got the Maha in your mouth, you were not safe. There was a guy jumping on you going, trying to squeeze something out. And when I remember, it was completely crazy what we did there. It was noisy. It was just boom, bam, boom. I remember there was already Rohini Sutta around. I remember him. He was not a very big fighter. But he managed to secure a piece of balloon. So he was like, and he, in a friendly way, he threw me the rest just with the balloon, out of that pile of devotees. I was outside, so I captured the balloon. Immediately one devotee was going after me. But, but I knew the place. I knew where to run. So I was running down the stairs, passing by the showers. There was a door which could go like this. So I slammed the door in his face while eating the balloon simultaneously. I ate even the green peel, everything, yeah. And when I was finished, he got to me and I was going, hello, So he was frustrated, running back again, hoping he can still catch somebody with something. It was mad. It was so noisy that we forgot that we are fighting in Prabhupada's door. Prabhupada must have heard that, boom, bam, boom, bam, bam, boom, So on one day, it was going like for a few days like this. One day, suddenly Prabhupada opened the door. And he saw this big pile of brahmacharis, just, bang, And Prabhupada just stood there and everybody stopped because they realized Prabhupada is here. Someone was going, Prabhupada ki jai! And everybody stopped, We looked at him and Prabhupada was going. And then he closed slowly the door again. This is just one of the memories I have. We were all 18, 20 years old, We were all young kids. But Prabhupada, what could he do, He just appreciated the enthusiasm. That was good. But we were not very, you could say, not very cultured people. No, not at all. It was wild. But there was one element which should never get lost, even today. Today we are very cultured people, yeah. We are sometimes so cultured we cannot even go out and preach. We are very cultured. Oh, hey, Vaishnava. But millions of people go to hell. We should never forget that. This is our job. They have no chance without Prabhupada. And even those who are spiritually inclined, they get so easily deviated. There are so many rascals, cheaters out there. And I'm using these words because Prabhupada used them. It's so easy. Even somebody tries to have some spiritual, looking for something spiritual. There are plenty of cheaters out there. Who will cheat you for your money, who will cheat you, and above all, they will block the way to the real spiritual path. Prabhupada was furious, he was fighting them, he was completely opposing them. He said, half-truth is more dangerous like a complete lie. And he said, we read it yesterday, a milk being touched by the lips of the serpent is even more dangerous like a poison, because it looks like milk. But you drink it, you die. That heavy examples Prabhupada was using. So this is not being fanatical, this is to be realistic. So we have to be very careful with this. Therefore we are very, very cautious and careful. Where do these things come from? Who invented this? Who started the whole thing? Would it be approved by Prabhupada? Not easy, not difficult to find out, because Prabhupada defined precisely everything. It's not difficult. If you want to know, there's so much knowledge here, so much information. And Prabhupada was, in terms of management, he was flexible according to the time, place and circumstances, but not on principle. Never change the principle, but the application of the principle, sometimes you have to be more flexible. Of course, because you have to know the conditioning of the people. Like Prabhupada, first time he came, he said things in the beginning, no, there will be no women in a temple. In India, out of question. No woman can stay overnight in a temple. That's a Vedic principle. They can visit, they can take part, but no staying overnight. Half of the enthusiastic hippies were women. Not only women, but very devoted women. So Prabhupada said, well, maybe they should just chant. They should chant at home. Then he found out they have no home. They are on the street. That's hippie. So he said okay. So he invented even a word for it which you don't find in Shastra. Brahmacharini. There's brahmachari and there's brahmacharini. You don't find it in the books. You don't find Shri Mahabrahmacharini Uvacha. No, not really, But Prabhupada had to name it something. It's actually unmarried girl, that's all. Brahmacharini. So he had to adjust things. And he knew also, this is an environment where men and women are so mushed up together. They are just, so what do you want to do? So, but he never violated the principle. You all chant the same, you all actually do the same. What are the rules for brahmacharini? Same thing like for brahmachari. Same thing. There are differences. I managed the whole thing, so I know what the differences are. Don't shave. That's for the Matajis, First time they came to India and they saw these widows in India, white sari and shaved head. So they start to shave also. Prabhupada said, what is this? What are they doing? And Prabhupada, the women, widows in India, they are renounced. We shave. Prabhupada said, not here. Then he said, Krishna likes beautiful gopis. And the ladies quite agreed, They were going, okay, now we have to follow the instruction of Prabhupada. They like to follow that instruction, actually. Not all, but quite, we were young. So, that was adjustment. Then Prabhupada said, everybody chanting 64 rounds. Bhaktisiddhanta said, whoever doesn't chant 64 rounds Hare Krišna, he is fallen. Oh, really? And the hippies, 64 rounds. Hare Krišna, Hare Krišna. I'm hungry. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Falling asleep. Prabhupada said, you cannot have a movement like this, with people falling asleep being hungry. So he said, okay, 32, you cut it half. Still, it was too much. So he cut down 32 to 16. This is nowhere stated in a Shastra, but what's in a Shastra stated is to chanting according to the numerical strength. You count. Whatever the count may be, but there has to be a fixed number. This is stated in the Shastra. So Prabhupada didn't violate the principle, he just adjusted according to what we could do. And still he was experimenting. Yes, he was experimenting. Can they take this? And then he was like, now I could quote more, but I will not do that. If somebody is interested, Prabhupada making inventory on his experiments in ISKCON, read his correspondence from 1977. It's the last year before Prabhupada departed. He made like an inventory. Then you get letters which are quite shocking. He said, this experiment didn't work out. We are not going to do it anymore. Things like that. Now that can be discussed how this is relevant today or not. I am not going to take part in this, but I could give you a heavy quotes. So, and Prabhupada, what he actually, like principle. One of the principles is Prabhupada didn't like hypocrisy. You don't pretend to be somebody you are not. And of course, in the initial stage of Krishna consciousness, we are doomed to pretend because we are just trying to be devotees. So you kind of copy things. How is devotee looking like? Okay, yeah. How is devotee acting? We are following. That's natural. We are learning to be a devotee. But you cannot do it forever like this. Either you become a devotee or not. And it doesn't matter how you dress, it doesn't matter how you look. A devotee is defined by his action. What are you doing? That will be visible. I am renounced, I don't do anything. Oh, that's not Prabhupada philosophy. He was renounced and he was active 24 hours a day. That's not renunciation. Prabhupada gave a completely different meaning to words which we used to know. What is silence? People go, you are silent, you don't say anything. No. According to Prabhupada, silence means you talk all the time about Krishna. That's silence. Very different. What is renunciation? Well, I gave it up, I threw it away. No, not throwing away. You use it for Krishna. That's the renunciation. So this was, Prabhupada gave a really amazing definition. You find it even in Bhagavatam. They asked Prabhupada, what shall I do when I get tired? Prabhupada said, take rest. Very practical instruction. What shall I do when I am hungry? Eat something. Very practical instruction. Prabhupada was very practical. Keep on going. They asked Prabhupada, you find it in his correspondence, they asked Prabhupada, hippies were, there was actually, vegetarianism was not a problem for hippies. No drugs, that was a problem. And no illicit sex life, definitely a problem. But no meat eating, no problem. But they were already had this macrobiotic diets, and raw food and all this. So I asked Prabhupada, can we offer this to Krishna? I mean, obviously Prabhupada was eating something else. When they offered him oats, first time, oats, very popular among hippies, oats, very healthy. And Prabhupada said, what is this? Prabhupada, this is oats. Prabhupada said, this is for horses, this is not for people. That was his idea of cooking. Because Prabhupada was very expert cook. But he said, but if this is what you want to eat, it's still in a frame of vegetarian and all this, then offer it to Krishna and eat. If this is what keeps you going, because the real idea is that you are fit to perform devotional service. That's the important part. And Western diets, they asked Prabhupada, can we offer pizza to Krishna? Pizza, nobody knew in India what pizza is. What is this? Spaghetti, nobody knew what a spaghetti is. But you go and preach in Italy, what do you want to preach? They are living from pizza and spaghetti. What do you want to preach? So they asked Prabhupada, can we offer it to Krishna too? And Prabhupada said, yeah. If this is what you eat, sometimes he tried a little bit, he said, it's interesting, yeah. But for him it was exotic. He never ate pizza in his life, He said, this is some kind of funny chapati with something on it. What is it? So Prabhupada was very flexible, but not compromising the principle. There is a limit how far you can go. And some people get frustrated because they would like to move it more and more and more, adjusting to their needs, to their material desires. This is a habit of conditioned soul. You take something pure and you start to pollute it with your material concepts. In an ultimate sense, it's called Kanishta Adhikari. It's a devotee. He can be very strict in following some rules and regulations. He can be even very learned. But his motivation is material. He wants to become famous. He wants to become distinct from others. This is Kanishta. Prabhupada was quite heavy. He defined it barely a devotee, he said. Almost not a devotee. And we see it, those with Kanishta Adhikari mentality, they become very receptive for Mayavada doctrines, for impersonalism, for these kind of things, which ultimately lead them completely astray from Krishna consciousness. So this is a movement for Madhyama Adhikari. Madhyama Adhikari is somebody who may be not very experienced in quoting so many shlokas, but he knows this is the real thing. And he can distinguish, this is a demon, this is an innocent person, confused, which is the majority, and then this is a devotee. He can discriminate. Kanishta Adhikari cannot do that. He doesn't even realize he's dealing with a demon. So, because demons can be very tricky. But Madhyama Adhikari will know. Then the next symptom of Madhyama Adhikari is he feels the urgent need to share this knowledge with others. He wants to go out to the innocent ones and give them the real information because he's absolutely convinced this is the real thing. But he may not be so good in quoting, he's maybe not so academically educated, but he is rightly motivated. That much Prabhupada expected us. That's the standard. Then his Uttama Adhikari, well, we can just talk about it. That's the one who actually sees Krishna everywhere. He's connected to Krishna all the time. He knows that. And sometimes he doesn't even preach because he thinks, well, look, this is all manifestation of Krishna's energy. No, actually in Prabhupada, who was the top Uttama Adhikari, he descends down to the level of Madhyama Adhikari so he can preach. I saw Srila Prabhupada in both shapes. As Madhyam, teaching us how to be Madhyam, boldly. Message to the demons. The missing link, my dear scientist. The missing link is my foot in your face. That's the missing link. That's Prabhupada addressing the scientific community. Pretty heavy. There was actually in Germany one, intellectual who reviewed Prabhupada's books with great respect. He said, oh, Swami Prabhupada is a great Vedic scholar. However, when it comes to scientists commenting on scientific community, he's getting quite out of control. Because I remember, Life Comes from Life, that book. When that book came out, it was considered an internal ISKCON publication. Nobody ever saw this, we are going to distribute this. It's full of the statements, I kick you in the face and, and missing link and, it's heavy. And Prabhupada proudly, there's a recording in a lecture, he announced, and now we published a new book for distribution. It's called Life Comes from Life. It became a public distribution item. And some people got really upset, What kind of vocabulary is this? How heavy that holy man can be. Oh, he was very heavy. So, but we cannot copy this. This is a warning. We should follow, but not copy. It's not like the first preaching item, My dear sir, the only thing you are missing is my foot in your face. Well, that's not the preaching line. If you start preaching like this, you will achieve exactly the opposite. And Prabhupada warned us also. He said, this philosophy is so sharp, you can cut anything with it. You can cut through anything, including your throat. So be careful how you use it. It's a double sharpness in it. When you go with the sword too much, you can also cut your throat. So Prabhupada warned us, be careful. And that again, Madhyam Adhikari, he considers the circumstances. How much you can give to anybody, And he tries to connect people to Krishna consciousness in any way he can, without compromising the principle. Another symptom of Madhyam Adhikari, he may extend quite some tolerance towards the innocent ones. But he is very strict with himself. And this is the ultimate preaching argument. Like people go, well, how do you follow the principles? I can. You can. If I can, you can. And because you give the example, people think, well, maybe I can too, Look, it works on him. This is the best preaching. That you just show people, look, what's so special about me? I can do that. And you can do it too. If you follow, and you try to follow as I try to follow, you take shelter in Srila Prabhupada, of course you can do it. Look at me. I have no qualification whatsoever, and I can do that. People can see that. You should never underestimate people when you are preaching to them. They may be a little bit damaged. Everybody is damaged. They may be a little bit funny. But everybody just coming here to this temple is somewhere serious. He's looking for something. Otherwise, why are you wasting time sitting in this lecture? You could be out there, and having a good time. Little coffee in the morning, some cigarette, and here we go. Hey, let's get that piece of the cake, right? Whole Slovenia is progressing. We are progressing. How? We buy ourselves a new car. That's really progress. And it's not for free. You work harder. And then you buy yourself a new car. Boom! After the new car, there comes a new house. After new house, Then comes another house. And after you have 2 houses and 2 cars, then you die. That's it. Now, I don't hope, of course this is recorded. But if you want to get really inspired on this, you get attached to a female. It's called Stri in Sanskrit. Now I'm speaking about the mundane female, not about the Matajis who are surrendering their lives to Krishna. But the mundane females, they are good at it. They always push the man. This is all? It's all? More. Try harder, more. And the man goes, only trying harder. More. You don't believe me? Well, get married or whatever, I don't know. Get connected. They know how to do that. They go like harder. They don't care you break down the road. They go, he broke down, that idiot. It's all his fault. Then they look for another idiot. Try harder. I know in Sweden women, many women, they are just living from this. They divorce after divorce, they collect houses, they collect, paraphernalia. At the end, they are so rich. After 4 husbands, you are really a rich woman. And the husbands are out there going, hey, I'm bankrupt again. I saw it. It's amazing. I went door to door in Sweden. Every second house is a fat, divorced woman. Big houses, big TV. And they sit there and eat pralines, completely bored. Getting fat. That's it. Great thing. Go on Sankirtan, you will get to see all this. I think in Slovenia it's not so bad yet. But places like Sweden, go ahead, look at it. This is what they want to import here too. Horrible. The society in such a disastrous shape, we didn't saw the end of it yet. But the direction they are going is suicidal. Absolutely suicidal. You think you cannot have any more some Yugoslavian civil war? Of course you can. People learn nothing from history. Nothing. They think, this was terrible. Second World War, horrible. Yugoslavian war, horrible. Come on, they are getting ready for another one. Guarantee. I don't have to be a big astrologer to see that. Because the actions they are performing are completely geared towards destruction. Must be. This is the stupidity of demons. They feed people sense gratification, which is actually the means how everybody can go crazy. It's a completely suicidal thing. It's like economic development. It's like a person selling drugs on a street. You know what he will do? He will first give the first doses for free. It's for free. Little heroin for free. For you, my friend. Just to hook people up. Once you are hooked up, it costs a little bit. The next time, it costs more. And the junkies are running around, This is how they manage a society, making everybody like a junkie, depending on completely useless and even dangerous and poisonous and whatever stuff, not understanding they are killing the society and they are killing themselves too. This is in essence what's going on. Prabhupada told us so many times, he called it the suicidal society. And we are not talking about spiritual life. It's just plainly materially spoken. Everybody is hooked up on something. Totally dependent. People go, I'm a free man. Very free. You take the cigarette from him, he will go ballistic. They go, I'm very free, I'm happy. You take that bottle away from him, he goes ballistic. And that's just, and people saying, no, I'm not a drunkard. I can give it anytime. I can give it up anytime I want. Really? Well, let's take it away from him and see the result. They all go crazy. You know, completely, you can create economy. That's a problem when society is managed by people who are just after money. Because for money they will do anything. They will sell you any junk, any useless stuff. Now they are so frustrated, they are not even happy with the normal illusion. No. They developed artificial intelligence. That's a mega illusion. They are not even happy anymore just to watch the natural illusion. They want to have an artificial illusion and screw it up more and more. At the end you will have only people, you will have sex with puppets, with robots, and they will just talk to robots, because robots can be manipulated, okay? People cannot be really manipulated all the way through. It's not possible. Because there's an individual soul with an individual initiative. And Krishna says, I am the life in the living. So how do you manipulate Krishna? Impossible. So that's ultimately what it boils down to. They are all fighting God. No, you will not be the controller. I will be the controller. And the stupid people follow all this. It's so... I used to be very upset about stupidity. But actually when you get older, you get more truly compassionate. It's like they never learn anything, isn't it? They never learn anything. Always reaching out for the idiotic thing. Ever. And you don't have to be a devotee to realize that. There are quite intelligent people in a society who know that principle. They will fully agree with me. You know, one of these people, I quote him quite often, quite amazing man. I don't want to make propaganda for him, but quite an amazing man. He lived 50 years before Prabhupada. Irish writer, anyway. But the man lived out of his time. He was, can you imagine, it's a Victorian society, right? English, Orthodox, you know. But he was Irish, you know. He was a militant vegetarian, you know. He said, I don't even want to talk to people whose bodies are walking graveyards of others. You know, can you imagine a guy like this? So he said many funny things. And he said, one thing we can learn from empiric observation by seeing, watching things. One thing, only one thing we can learn, that nobody learns anything from empiric observation. That we can learn. Prabhupada would fully agree on that. Therefore we are learning from the Shastra, not from what we see or what we think. We are learning from Shastra. It would be interesting to meet this man today. I mean, I could give you lots of quotes from him, completely out of time. Or I can hear Prabhupada behind. Prabhupada would laugh and going, that's right. You know. So anyway, I don't want to make too much propaganda for him. But there are people in a society who know. The question is what they will do about it. So Krishna consciousness is, we already took the consequence. We are doing something about it. Not that we just know, oh, this is illusion. That's not enough. What you are going to do about it? Do we have an alternative to that? Yes, we do. So Krishna consciousness is a living alternative, how to get out of the illusion and become not addicted or dependent on such a, Bhagavatam defines them, fallible soldiers. It's like having an army and everybody has a water pistol, you know, yeah? You think, we have a good army here, look, this looks like an army, and they go, you know. I mean, you know, this is what Bhagavatam gives, the examples. They are all fallible soldiers. When you go, it's raining outside, I take umbrella, but there's no cloth on it. It's just, you know, And you go, I'm sheltered by the umbrella. Well, you get wet anyway because there is no cloth. It's a false shelter. You can go endlessly like this. But we are running out of time and I have to stop now. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Grace Manidhar Prabhu ki jai. Charinam Pita